Hi everyone, and welcome back to this quiet little corner of the marketplace for what I guess I should call the beginning of a series of weekly waffle, meaning I don't have anything particular to show build wise, but I thought we could talk a little bit about some of the various things going on in the game at the moment, aside from the lag, which is kind of all pervasive, isn't it? And if anyone's interested, where I'm sort of at, what I've been doing lately, and what little projects I've got planned. I thought for those people who are not fans of the waffle side of things, maybe I could start off by doing the quest, get that out of the way, and then talk a little bit afterwards. So that way, people who've come to see some questing could have a little look at that if that's of interest. The one I've got earmarked for us today is this one here, as you can see by the golden goblet here next to Lady Nilith. Is that right? Nilith, yeah. Just in front of the entrance to the Fialan house in the marketplace. It's the quest the community helped to create the Catastrophe, it's called, isn't it? Ending up with a dragon playing with a ball of string. I quite like this one, so I thought we could have a little look at it. Just to reiterate about this paladin build, you're probably sick of seeing it by now, but it's been really good fun. As my first attempt at a melee at the cap, I could definitely recommend, I suppose, any paladin, but the sword and shield paladin is proper dressing gown and slippers build, by which I mean it's very, very forgiving of the many mistakes that I make, and it's got tons of survivability in just about every situation. I mean, there are some builds like, let's say, the Barbarian that excel in Reaper 10, but might not do so well in raids because their self-healing isn't quite, they don't have like the renewal type thing that we have here on this Paladin, for instance. I mean, that's something else. He's been able to sit, albeit only on Legendary Hard, but that's all the public raids are, more often than not. He's been able to sit on the raid bosses while the rest of the group gets the job done when there hasn't been a proper tank available, and it's been no problem. So that's been great too, just to be able to contribute a bit. So more than happy with this build, and I would definitely recommend folk to give it a go. I know the sword and shield thing is not exactly flavor of the month with the DPS crowd, but for somebody like me who does quite a bit of content alone, it's massively survivable. Yeah, you're never going to set any speed records for quest completions, but neither are you too often in any danger of death if you're doing like Reaper 6 and below. You watch now, I'll go into this quest and get absolutely hammered, but I'd like to think we won't. Right, get our buff sorted. That's one of the slight downsides, as I've mentioned before, about the sword and shield. The holy sword only goes on the sword that we're using, the weapon that we're using. The shield, although we're using it in an offensive capacity as well, does not get the benefit of the added threat range and multiplier that the holy sword gives, unfortunately.
Shards of glass litter the floor in front of you, the remains of a partially destroyed skylight up above. An
What's
ancient
happening with the
communication
narration
opens
here?
for you to speak to him.
Uh,
Ant has been accidentally polymorphed into a dragon and escaped into the streets of Stormreach. You've been asked to lure the creature into an alley so it can be returned to its original
is it
form.
because I've
Proceed through the dimension door and
got the
speak
master
to Olivia
volume too
Snow to
low?
learn more.
I didn't want it too high because last one I did, the combat sounds were a bit too much and they were dominating. So I think I'm going to leave it like that.
Olivia asks you to obtain some nice food to distract the cat-turned-dragon. There's a dairy merchant nearby who should be able to set you up.
Okay, straight in, I think.
A group of pups appear to be speaking to a very large rat.
Come on then, make a big group out of yourselves. That's it. I love that shield throw out of the sentinel tree. I mean, the tanks would normally use it to attract attention, but we're using it to get helpless damage in abundance. That's awesome, as well as not taking damage ourselves. I can't remember, it's not often I do this quest, so I can't remember the ins and outs of it. I guess we've just gone somewhere we didn't need to there. Although my guildmate would say, yes, collectible! Collect all the collectibles! He gave us a sound beating, didn't he? My word, he did. And one of the nicest things about this build has been the crowd control on the weapon, the ignition, out of the Fire Over Moorgrave raid. Really nice, that. What I tend to do when I'm in a little group with friends, I tend to try to just run around quickly and touch everything at least once, just to get them, you know, properly slowed down, and then the rest of the group tends to have little to no problem dealing with them then. Gotta go and say hello to the cows in the stable.
Next, you must locate a certain house Kenneth artificer to acquire.
Oh, hello. Fear Reaper. Okay. Yeah, that quick gutter. Such a short cooldown, so good. I'm planning I think I've mentioned this in passing before, I'm planning the next melee build for the cap. Well, that looks like bad news, Vengeance. Okay, let's see if we can dispatch the other things before we get them all buffed. Put some spell resistance or absorb on. Get out of there. Get out of there. I don't know if the spell absorb swap-ins would actually stop the damage from one of those circle things. I don't really want to find out, but if anybody knows, I'd be glad if you could tell me. But I know that certain other nasty things, like the horrid wilting that the Vengeance can do, could be stopped by a spell absorb item. Going? Are we going? No, not there. Alright, I'll get the collectible. Is it? No, it's not that way. I guess it must be this way then. Okay.
The House Kenneth artificer tells you will deliver the apparatus to the requested location.
I guess that door must have opened now, has it? Oh, Christ.
Even more toughs rush forward to it.
Yeah, that shield throw thing is seriously good for subduing a group enough that they don't take big chunks out of us while we're trying to get stuck into them. And then if we do happen to have lost a big load of health, that's when I lean on the rage heal. In up to Reaper 6 I found that gives us a nice chunk back. Once you start going over that, even with the decent, well, better than decent healing amp we have on this build, it's a chore to get any sort of decent self-healing in Reaper 8, say. Not quite sure where I'm going now. Oh, this looks like an optional. Now this guy is probably a good illustration of the benefits of having the Paladin, it's not Paladin, it's Divine Crusader immunity to damage for your weapons. I think it's the second core in Crusader gives your weapons immunity to all damage. You'll be pleased to note, Brian, I've decided, given the complete mess the inventory's in at the moment, with stuff spewing out all over the place from overflowing bags and that, I've stopped just picking up everything at random, trying to be a little bit more selective. Come on. Yeah, the plague is the big issue for us, as that completely stops any kind of self-healing. I think I pressed the rage heal by accident there while we were plagued. I didn't do it intentionally. I was going for the boost and hit the rage by mistake. We do actually have our hands as well, paladin hands there that you just saw, which I don't make enough use of, and they are extremely good. And also these little circles, when we dip down below 50% health, that's from the Divine Crusader 3 in How Dare You Strike Me, always throws a little consecrate down there at your feet to help you. That's whether or not you have consecrate. You can see we don't have the epic strike because we're using the quick cutter, but that can be really helpful. And that 2 minutes is wrong. It says it may trigger once every 2 minutes. I think we just saw several instances of it triggering on here, so it's quite a nice one to invest in. It comes up when you need it, when you need help, like when you're down below 50% is when you need the extra help, and that's when it pops up to assist you, so I quite like that one. We could actually use a shrine here. We're going a bit low on the boost, aren't we? I'm literally just looking at the map, wandering around randomly because I don't know the quest very well at all. Is there a shrine anywhere in here? No, I knew one a bit further back. No, it's a bit of a ways ago, isn't it? Okay, I think we're nearing the end, aren't we, here? Save that boost for the end. Oh, they all got squashed by the ball of wool, didn't they? I should have noticed that and come to take advantage sooner than I did. Right, we've got to open this up. Oh, we've got a shrine there. Do we actually need it? Probably not. We didn't need to go there. How do we open that thing up then? Must be down here. I guess there must be another pile of opponents waiting here. No? Okay.
pull the lever and a beam of energy shoots through the nearby alley. The sound of flapping wings can be heard overhead. Your bright light beam has attracted the cat dragon's attention.
I think we get a group of trash, don't we? And also the boss.
As milk begins to pour out of the spigot, you hear something approaching. But it's
Oh,
not
wrong
a
key.
cat dragon. It's a mimic surrounded by hired toughs. It seems to want to speak with you.
Where do we speak? Oh, the mimic. Yeah, okay.
The creature splutters.
Let's do away with the trash first if we can. Okay, now how badly are you gonna hurt us? Yeah, he's got this mimic slobber, hasn't he? Can we use an unpoison thing to get rid of that? Doesn't look like it, does it? No, still stacking acid damage. We do have plenty of hands we can use. Or I could just hit the go big if I needed to.
At the last moment, the creature teleports away, escaping certain death.
I think that kind of thing, it's increasingly prevalent in some of the newer content, isn't it? This damage over time thing that isn't evadable. Not that we have evasion on this build, but that kind of thing is what's killing people in the harder content, and what makes these boots from Mithranna with all the absorptions on particularly appealing. Are we done here? I think we are.
Olivia explains that while the cat dragon's transformation was an accident, the other creatures were polymorphed as punishment for their
Okay.
very real
No, it's not
transgression.
finished. Secure the polymorphed... Oh, okay. That was a bit weird.
The
Alright.
polymorphed cat lets out a low growl. This must be what it sounds like.
Happy
when a dragon
days.
tries
I
to
don't know
burn
why
you.
the narration is so low. I've done my best. I still think the combat sounds are a bit loud for a recording, and the narrator could do with being higher. I did try. Maybe it's just a bit low on this particular quest. Okay, so that's that sorted. We'll find a little place to sit and see what I've got on my little list for discussion today. So yeah, first thing I heard on, I think it was on one of Cordovan's Friday at 4 things that he posted, that the Crystal Cove event, I think partly because it's been broken, the kobolds are just behaving really weirdly. Same for the Canis challenges, but I guess that's passed pretty much under the radar because not many people do that anymore. But that their pathing's pretty well broken, so I guess that's played into it, and that there's going to be no Crystal Cove apparently this year. So I'm wondering what they're going to be doing with the +2 strength festive augments. They until recently I wasn't really particularly bothered about those because I never did anything melee wise at the cap, but now I'm acutely aware that I only have one. So I might be trying to trade for some if that event is gone, and that, as far as I'm aware, that was the only source of the +2 festive strength. So, or maybe they could just be nice and add it to the night revels, which I understand is going to start very shortly. I think October 1st they've got to start, and I think that's going to run through until November. It's always a popular event, that. Really good if you're doing any leveling because the XP is off the charts. I think if ever you were going to use an XP potion, I'm not big on using those, but if ever you were going to, a potion before doing that event, the quests are quick to complete, give big XP, give you a big leg up. That would. I would use it in Epic, I think. That's where you could get the biggest bang for the buck. Talking about maybe trading for augments and that kind of thing, I was wondering if any of you are on Moonsea, if any of you knew if there is such a thing as like a, an exchange, a marketplace like there used to be on the old Orion server. And I'd be interested to see that, especially given that some of these rare sun augments, which are pretty essential for endgame builds, the likes of Fort Bypass, for instance, for melee and ranged, they're like super rare as well. Really, really painful to get if you're, trying to. I just wouldn't even try to farm them, I don't think. But I would like to be able to trade some I've been lucky enough to drop for others that I don't have that I would quite like to have. So if any of you knows of any trading system on Moonsea, please let me know. I would like to be a part of that. I suppose that brings me on to something else. I mean, these new augments in Lamordia in general. I mean, some of the things is. Am I correct in saying it could be meme worthy? Is that the right word? I don't really know what meme means, but I think in this instance, I mean, it's like a joke, isn't it? Something like I made a note of it the other day because I've got two of them. I didn't even take them out of the chest. I think there's one of the new augments, Haggle and Perform +6 on both. You're telling me somebody's really going to swap something like 30 MRR for 6 Haggle and Perform? I mean, come on. It's just, and that's the kind of thing that's stopping people from getting, actual named loot in these chests. It's frustrating to say the least. I think there are. I just cited that one example, but I think there are a lot of such things. Just flannel, I'll call it, needless, um, like bloating of people's augment bags if they choose to pick those things up. I just haven't. I've just left them. It's a little bit unnecessary, in my opinion. I mean, some of them you could. I mean, I think there's another one with +6 on the charisma skills, the intimidate and bluff and that kind of thing. I could see that being situationally useful on a tanky type build, but again, is a tank really going to sacrifice a one of these augment slots where they could potentially put like 30 PRR or MRR for 6 intimidate? I think the answer is almost always no. So yeah, just a bit unnecessary, all that stuff. I'm not sure how well thought out it's all been. Or maybe it's been. I think the main thing is to make it harder to acquire the named loot, and therefore people have to use more shards on rerolls, if they're into that kind of thing. I just wouldn't reroll Mythdrana or Lamordia. You're on a hiding to nothing with that. It's it's pretty thankless. I think the one time, because I've been planning, as I mentioned, for this barbarian build to come. There's one that one I just mentioned, the fortification bypass. That would be probably a build breaker at the cap, missing that 30 fort bypass. So I basically just swapped a card of curse cleansing, which most of you probably know those are worth up towards 1,000 astral shards on the auction house. I swapped one of those for a fort bypass because those are extremely valuable as well on the shard exchanges. But yeah, to have to, I mean, and this is just gearing out one character with the new sun and moon augments. To have to do several, there's no way. My alts, my ranged character and caster are definitely all going to stay on, Dino gear. There's no way they're going to move on to the new stuff. I just couldn't do it. Couldn't justify the time and shard cost of kitting them out, which is a shame because I think broadly speaking, the doing away with the standard set bonuses was a good thing. I really disliked the fact that you had to have three, in some cases, three pieces that really didn't suit your build very well, like the what's it called, the popular one from Lord's March, the Sora Kell set. Sometimes people would double up on the rings, just to get the bonus. That's how good the bonus was. But the items themselves, they just weren't bothered. They were just in it for the bonus, which to me is a bit of a shame. So now we've got a situation where you're free to put items that better suit your build, but they've kind of crippled it by adding these rare augments. I think the best way to try and get these rare augments, as far as I can tell, is looking out for the reward list at the end of the saga of Mithdrana and Lamordia. And if you're lucky, you'll have a rare augment offered in that list. And if it happens to be one of the sought after ones, like the Fort Bypass, the Cruelty for the helpless damage, or the Imbue dice, maybe Sneak Attack dice, I would jump on that. Even if you're looking for XP from the saga, I would still take the augment. And even if you don't want the augment, it'll be worth several hundred shards on the auction house, I bet. Okay, moving onwards. Here's one that raised a few eyebrows from me. Cordovan was mentioning they did a change recently with the hireling behavior. Apparently, hirelings are bad for the game because they have been causing lag trying to pass to the player. My answer to that, well, apart from not using them like I don't do, my answer to that would be, because I have been using one recently with my sorcerer, my caster, I think I mentioned in the past, has been back on the hamster wheel getting a couple of sorcerer lives for the evocation DCs. He's a cold druid by nature. And in heroic, it pays him to have a hireling around to do some healing. But the biggest problem I have, I'm not particularly amazingly fast, but the thing just can't keep up with me, like never. They move at a snail's pace, so I'm not surprised the game is lagging trying to get them to catch up. They're just hopeless. Between the not pulling the lever they're standing right in front of, and not healing in general, and not keeping up with you, I just, oh, yeah. So if they've improved that, I can't say as I've noticed anything too much on that side, but if they have improved it, then good, because it needs it. They all need to be with sprint boost by default, that lot, I think, and then maybe something good would come of them. I've been I'm happy to say I've been joining in a bit more on the raid side since joining Moonsea, and it's all been pretty positive. I've found one or two nice bits of named loot. There was one nice karma story as well. I remember one of the first times I did the Threats Old and New, getting the Maw Kukri, which is a really nice weapon, drop for me. And at the time, my main character here, Fools, was a caster druid, and he'd been that for like years. So the Maw wasn't particularly interesting to me, and I don't tend to keep stuff that I don't plan to use on that character, on that build. I put it up for roll, which is what I did with this Maw. And then as time went by and he changed to a melee, and I swapped one of my other characters to the caster druid, I became aware that this weapon that I'd passed would have really ticked all the boxes for me, all the crowd control-y elements it has, that kind of thing. And I was a bit sorry that I'd passed up on it. And lo and behold, recently one dropped for me again, so I was delighted to snap it up. I think I can show you because I've kept it at the risk of exposing this shocking inventory mess to Brian. I've kept it. Yeah, look, there's filigrees overflowing, and I need another bag or need to get rid of some of them. I've kept it on him because I plan to take it into the raid next time the threat and complete. There's that sealed in fire element. We can add another really tasty effect to it to make it even more crowd controlly. But you can see there the paralysis and the guard breaking. It's one of the very few, maybe even the only, I don't know, because guard breaking traditionally is on shields, as I'm sure you all know. So to be able to have the guard breaking on a weapon and therefore not need to use a shield to get that effect, that's awesome. So I look forward to putting that into an end game gear set with my barbarian to be. I'll do a little series on that in the fullness of time, but that's for another time. So yes, just that to say that I've been happy with the going into the raids. Sometimes I can do the sort of tanky side with this paladin, and I do also have a dedicated tank, a dwarf tank paladin that I made that's done pretty nicely as well. If you've never tried doing the tanking, it's quite nice to sort of open your eyes to a different element of the raid, because like everybody has their little jobs to do. Some people just go in and hope to be sort of carried along by the rest, which is exactly what I'm not bad mouthing those people. On the contrary, it's exactly what I do in things like Project Nemesis, where despite all my reading and watching videos, I still can't get quite what's going on in there. So I just take my tank into the middle of the area, attract the attention of the bosses, and hope that helps. In the fullness of time, I would love to be able to do a little bit better with that, because there is a nice item. There's a labyrinth edge kukri out of there that would go really nicely for the tank. But yeah, I'm starting small, doing a bit more on the raid side, and it's been pretty favourable. Getting a little bit more confident, and a couple of times I was able to offer advice to somebody who was newer to one or two of the raids than me, which was nice too. So yeah, happy days on that score. What else have we got here? Oh yes, I'm sure you'll have all noticed on the loading screen thing the new what's it called, Volcanic Coffer, which I'm sure it won't have escaped your attention. It's been released during the double points time. I don't have it, so I can't show it you, I'm afraid. But one of my friends who I quest with sometimes has shown it to me. I quite like it. I couldn't justify throwing, what is it, 8,000 DDO points for the biggest one. I just couldn't do that. But I quite like the horse. The little fire peacock thing is all right too. The flaming axe thing, the great axe, that's nice. And the cosmetic armor with the glowing eyes and all the rest of it, I think they've done a decent job. It's just down to individual whether you think it's worth that amount of DDO points. I should probably add that it's not just the cosmetics. I think there are, is it 30 bank slots, shared bank slots, or something like that for the biggest one? I don't know exactly, but there's some kind of storage reward as well for picking the thing up, if that's of interest. I was just delighted at the extra bank slots they gave all the characters. I think shared bank as well, was it, for the transfer itself? That really helped me out, I can tell you. Although knowing me as I do, I'll just fill the extra stuff and end up in the same mess I was before. So Yeah, probably defeating the object. Yeah, another little moan about the rare augments and loot in general. I mean, Mithranor in particular, the rare augments and loot. I would never farm for this stuff. I mean, I know some people have because it's that good of a fit, especially for the barbarian types. That autumn equinox ring with the acid damage over time and the is it primal bonus to damage based on wilderness lore feats. People have been nosebleed farming that thing, and it's just not me at all. I would love if they would put in place something like we've got for the desert sands loot, the bronze tokens. You can get quite a lot of nice stuff out of there. Uh, for instance, the rings of spell storing, like that baby there, just by collecting up the bronze tokens from the wilderness, or even just collecting them as you do the quests if you think the wilderness collection is a bit too farmy. Something like that I would love, because the finding of the new augments and the rare loot are just it's just not going to happen for the more casual player. It's just not. So yeah, I would like a different option. I mean, I guess from the developer's point of view, they like people to re-roll and re-roll and re-roll and that kind of thing, and it suits them to have these things being so hard to acquire. But for me, it's a no thanks on that score. I would like to see something a bit more player friendly there. I've mentioned already, I think in passing, about the threads relating to the plight of casters in general. I mean, this is nothing new. There's been stuff for ages on, oh, help casters, low caster damage, all this kind of thing. Casters are no fun to play. By no fun, I guess people mean they're not particularly welcome in endgame raids anymore, and they don't keep pace damage wise with the melee and ranged. I still find my Cold Druid fun to play. I just keep the level, at a level where he can, complete it if he's on his own. I still have a lot of fun with it, but I do accept that there are these glaring differences now. It just seems a shame to see seasoned, several actually I've seen in the forums in the last week or so, seasoned sorcerer players kind of giving up and converting the characters to melees to be, because they say they're not having any fun anymore with it. So a little bit of a shame. I guess in time the wheels will turn again, the casters will rise to the top again, the melee and ranged will be upset, and the whole thing will start again. But I think my solution's been to just end up with one of each. That's what I've ended up with. I've got my dwarf tank that I've mentioned already, just to throw into raids if they're lacking a tank. I've got this one here who's going to be my dedicated melee. I have Red, who I'm sure you've seen if you've seen a bit of the channel, who's a dedicated ranged. He's kind of settled on the arty now. I'm not a fan of the inquisitive. I'm not a huge fan of the standard bow either at the moment, but the arty I do like a lot. So that's been his thing. And then Purple is my cold caster druid, and I have a lot of fun doing that, so I don't plan to change him out of it just because the meta happens to be one thing or another. To be honest, I don't follow nor particularly care for the meta, so that's my answer to that. What else have we got here? No, I think that's about it. So yeah, long story short, I am hamster wheeling my caster at the moment just for a bit more on the DCs for all the difference it will make at the cap now, and getting the end game gear together to eventually transfer this fellow Fools onto a Shadekai Barbarian. If like me, you're not familiar with a class and haven't tried it at the cap, it's always a good idea to troll the forum and see what builds and what suggestions people have been coming up with for that particular class or play style, and maybe put something together, in a way that suits you. Take some of the suggestions from each one that you like the look of, and maybe leave to one side some of the others that don't seem to fit your play style. That's what I've tried to do. So in the fullness of time, we're going to have a little barbarian series going to the cap, see what these Shadekai chains are like, because it's something that I've never played around with, and see what kind of mischief we can make by combining this lovely weapon and the CC it'll have on it with the AoE attacks from the chains, the quick cutter, and if we really want to go crazy, I suppose we could add Whirlwind into the mix as well. So that's one for the future. Okay, I really am going now. Thanks very much as always for looking. Happy questing, and I'll speak to you all soon. Take care.